Our Saturday, 3 p.m. When the weather is so nice, it's hard to stay inside. So I dressed for the summer to go out, then come to the studio. Oh, so cold, I need a scarf. So here I am. And what we are doing today is we talk about restaurant payroll specifically. So the topic of this webinar is restaurant payroll traps you must know. But every time we talk about traps, it's like people put in there purposefully letting you fail, that kind of sentiment. I think the title should be the restaurant payroll you must know, not traps, because those are regulations has been with us forever. Ever since the first day I practiced CPA work, the same thing was there. There's nothing really new. Actually, if the one big beautiful bill, they call them BBB, if that bill passed, that would be the first time on the payroll side there's are new things gonna happen, because overtime tips are on the bill to be approved, not paying taxes, right? So there will be some changes coming to that, but right now let's not worry about that for right now, because obviously you know what I know. You go to Twitter, you go to X, you can see the glorious fight over there. So we will just let's just see what happens later, right? We have a lot of stuff to cover, so I would not waste all my time. Let's just get going. All right. Let's see, how do I move my screen? I didn't really know how to move. Something is not right. Maybe I can do it this way. Let's see. Okay, I'll do it this way. So before we start presentation, I always talk about the firm. So this is, but no, Grace, the screen for our viewers do not change, even if I change. So something is not right. Well, I'll let Grace adjusting the screen, and at the same time, I'll show you, I'll talk to you of what we meant to talk about. So right now, there's a lot of audit going on right now, but it is different from before. If I talk about 10 years ago, most of the audit coming on are related to income tax audit, whether it's a state income tax audit or federal income tax audit. Those are kind of zoomed into your profit, right? They're the profit side of audit. But right now, there's a lot of payroll side of audit. So what is payroll side of audit? It's more like payroll taxes, right? Payroll compliance. Are you paying everyone proper payroll? Fair Labor Act from DOL. So these are all kind of related to this overall immigration fix that the White House has. And it is one of President Trump's campaign promise, right? So he promised American people, if he become the president, he'll get rid of the illegal immigrant with criminal record. I think, to be exact, that's how it was phrased, as illegal immigrant with criminal background. There must be a lot of them with criminal background because we're deporting a lot of them, right? So the businesses in America, a lot of businesses, especially the restaurant, the farm, the childcare, the medical side of businesses, they hire a lot of laborers, construction, without proper payroll processing, because they don't have work permit, they don't have social security number to allow the employer to run payroll properly. So with that dilemma, let's just look at what we are today. So because of that, because of the policy, because of the reality, so there is a clash, right, between small businesses who said that, well, if I don't hire people, if there's no worker I can find, I'm not underpaying anybody, but I just cannot find a warm body work this work. So I pay a lot more than what I should pay, but I can't find people with work permits. So I hire non-documented people to work. So that is what government want you to stop doing. So in this webinar, we want to talk to the restaurant owners. I know what you're gonna say to me. You say that you're not in restaurant business. You don't know how difficult that is. There's no way we can even run the restaurants without hiring people, without just getting whoever on the street come to work, right? It's not about we want to hire undocumented people. It is about we can't find a warm body out there wanting to work. Much bigger issue than a CPA can resolve for you, but what I can give you is to know where is your boundary. Because at the end of the day, we don't want you to end up being raided, going to jail, and for 10 years for harboring illegal immigrant, right? So we don't want that to happen to you. And we simply want to give you our knowledge so you understand what you're gonna do, how you're gonna come up to meet the government requirement. All right, so this is our website. Just quickly to point out, if you have specific questions, so specific you felt is useless to talk to me in the public platform, and then you come to appointment button right here. You click that button, you make appointment with me. All right, and our YouTube channel is really where we put all our videos there. And good, bad, and ugly, everything is here. So you can just come in looking for our histories. Some of the knowledge may be outdated because situation changed, but if you just look at the timestamp, make sure you're looking at the most recent. But the reality is we give you the most recent matters that to your business. We give you what is going on. In business, you just really have to take opportunities and understand what is going on, right? So for every situation that happens, there's opportunity for new business or for existing business to excel. I say that with a conviction because I know that is what it is. Business really doesn't have political colors, even though I know Elon Musk did something kind of tied the business with politics. But, history will say that is not a good idea. And we really should, business people, when we run business, we are independent from the political side of opinion. And what we do really, what we should be really good at doing is to utilize what's available to us and getting better business done, making even more money. And if there's a tax code come out gonna benefit you, absolutely use it. Don't even wait for next year. No, use it right away. Our firm, I'll just skip that one. These are the two books I wrote, and I'm doing the third one, fourth one. Give me 1 second. I want to cough. Okay. The next one is no responsibility disclaimer. Really important because I don't want to have some dude call me and tell me that, oh, I said something wrong. Then I look at my timestamp, but it's 3 years ago. Of course, a lot of things has changed after 3 years, right? All right. So why so much noise is about payroll these days? Why? Immigration raids by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement significantly increased during the Trump administration time. I'm sorry. Grace, can you get me some water? I forgot to get water. the methodology ICE deployed has a lot to do with hiring and harboring worker who do not have work permit but work in the business places. So this is methodology ICE deployed in terms of carry out on the immigration raid. ICE conducted worksite raids in multiple states, not just one place, targeting business that suspected of hiring unauthorized workers. So employers should be prepared for an increased likelihood of I-9 audit, ICE worksite enforcement actions, particularly if operating in a sector that is heavily reliant on immigrant workers. So these are construction, restaurant, daycare, what else? Farming. Those are immigrant labor concentrated industry, so they raid these industry. So Tom Human, and he is in charge of carrying that out. I'll just quote him. He said, "We are going to increase the teams greatly. So you are going to see more teams on the streets you never seen before. You are going to see more worksite enforcement than you have ever seen in history of this nation." So what he's saying is that you're going to see ICE enforcement folks on the street more than ever. You're going to see immigration raids to the businesses more than ever. And he also said that he said that he uses this visibility because when he goes to work site to raid the workplace, he's very visible, right? And he used the threat of highly visible public raids as leverage to pressure the state and local government into cooperating with ICE operations, signaling that resistance would only result in more aggressive federal action. So Holman has used threat to highly, to highlight what they can do, because one of our client in South Dakota, when they were raided and brought out to the unmarked vehicle, they were shackled and from ankle to their waist. And so it is not something you just can go unnoticed. It is a public display for a intended purpose. It's not they think you are so dangerous, you're gonna bomb the White House. No, they just want everyone to see so they can give certain license learned to people. Raids can happen to every restaurant. This is what we want to tell the restaurant owners. Don't think you are immune from that because you voted for Trump. And actually someone did use that as a way to hope that not be raided, and it didn't work. That's why I say that. So when that happened to you, so for our restaurant business owners, here are the following things you must have at your work site, means in your restaurant. So you as an owner, you need to have your ID with you all the time, which you should, right? You drive around, you should have driver license, because you need to make sure to identify yourself to the agent. Before they come, they actually know who they are looking for, because you are the owner. They probably don't know who they are looking for as employees in your company, but they know who you are. So you want to have an ID every time, always ready. Employees I-9 need to be in your work site. That need to be signed original with copy of employees' IDs need to be presented. So this is what I'm talking about, like what you need to have at your work site, right? I'm not saying that these things are all with my CPA, not at my work site. Then wrong. wrong. It need to be at your work site. So when ICE come, you can easily bring that out to ICE because that's required. Employees W-4, you need to have the signed original or copy. Both are, whether it's copy or original, those are okay because we understand you give that W-4 to your CPA or your payroll agency to run payroll. So maybe the original got submitted, but you want to have a copy of that. Payroll information with home address on the paychecks. So you must have those paychecks that you just submitted it or you just received it from your payroll processor, and then each paycheck for each worker, it should identify the home address. Those are something you must have in your workplace. Employee must also have ID to identify themselves to the I-9 form you give to the ICE on spot. Okay? So these are the things, if you got rate, what you are expecting, you are expected to have all of these things. All right. So commonality among the immigration rates. So you may say that, oh, what triggers that? What is the common theme here? And tell me about it. So ICE uses civilians and, creditable tips. Cooperating employees means whistleblowers, right? Whoever called them to report you. And the financial audit, so the IRS audit or the other audit to build a case before conducting raids. Obviously, raids to your restaurant is not something they finished breakfast in the morning, decided to got something fun going on, let's go to your restaurant. No, it is actually processed through. So they are conducting raids on your restaurant, and because they had civilians or creditable tips or whistleblowers as your employee or some other audit was referred to them. So ICE typically presents the judicial search or arrest warrants, at the time. When you ask for that, they typically do have, when they have those court issued, so signed by a judge, when they have those kind of paper, they can enter into non-public area in your restaurant. Means that your kitchen and your storage room, maybe your sleeping quarters for employee to rest during the day, whatever that is, as long as your restaurant guests, visitors do not go in, it's called non-public areas. So they can enter into that. But if it is administrative warrants, which is not court-issued warrant, only a permit to access to your area, to your restaurant, that they can only go to public areas, which is the chairs, the tables where your customer sits. But of course, when they come in, they ask you, the business owner, can I go to the kitchen? If you agreed, they can go in with administrative warrants. So the frequency and intensity of raid increased. Trump administration removed some protections for the business owners. Sometimes the protections come into sensitive area, don't do this area, or allow, you have to go through due process. You can't just deport people tomorrow. But the Trump administration removed a lot of those protections, so they can do any area they wanted, and they can expedite the deportation without sitting around making you wait for 2 weeks and go to court and do all kind of proceedings. No, they can just deport you. So those are the things are typical, are commonalities among all the rate. Employer found in violation faces significant civil fines and a criminal charge for willful violation and imprisonment, so means give you jail terms. So what is willful violation, which we can logically imagine that they have no work permit, they cannot work, but you repetitively just doing that, and you even provide them with a place to hide, and even provide them with a car, so you are harboring criminals. That is how it is interpreted right now by the White House's book. Okay, so the whole commonality in the immigration raids are going into, for business owners, after they identified you to be the right business owner, then you actually facing the challenges right here, and you can go to jail. And you may say that, oh, Ying, you just, buffalo this, and there's nobody go to jail. Don't listen to me, and go on internet, search for immigration rate, and see how much the owners were charged by harboring illegal immigrants. So those are public domain information. We do know things more, because when people are getting into that situation, or when they had people who get into that situation, they know, and they obviously have questions for practices for CPA firms, and how do we do it right, and what to do, and people are alarmed, right? But that's the whole purpose of what Trump administration trying to do, what Tom Homan trying to do, right? To just inflate that fear, that the awareness, and you call that fear or you call that awareness, is the same thing. So just to bring attention to you, so you do it right? Focus on I-9 compliance. That's a common theme too. It is I-9. And if you have never heard of I-9, but you are in business for so many years already, and you are really in trouble, you need to get your I-9 compliance done very well, thoroughly. An audit can happen to every restaurant. Raid can happen to every restaurant. Audit can happen to every restaurant as well. And you may just say that, well, we already have immigration raid that is there, and now you're talking about audit. So what are the audit would be coming down to the restaurant? Actually, our firm, we have more than 12,000 clients. So we really do have a little climate going on here, right? We kind of know what's going on from here and there, everywhere. Our client is everywhere, except 3 states. We don't have client, we have client everywhere. So now, the audit, how it come about to business, we absolutely have the right temperature here. We know what is going on. We know what audit is popping up. So my number 1 audit on this list I show you is the Federal Department of Labor's DOL. The Department of Labor and the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice all have authority to inspect employment eligibility records, such as Form I-9s. So they all have responsibility to ensure the compliance with the federal employment laws. See, the 3 government authorities all have authorities over one thing, right? Such as I-9. So that is significant. So if a DOL audit uncovers irregularities such as incomplete or fraudulent I-9 form or evidence of unauthorized workers, this information can be shared with ICE. You see? So it is absolutely legit for the auditors from DOL who come to audit your company. At the end of the audit, because they are auditing for Fair Labor Act, right? They don't care whether your person is documented or non-documented. They just want to make sure that the miners should not work in the kitchen, and the people need to be paid above minimum wage, and they need to have a proper break. They need to have their chips. they just want to make sure that you are treating your workers fairly. That's a Fair Labor Act. But DOL do not at that time to tell you that, this worker is non-documented worker because they don't even ask you that question, but they know, they can guess that because you are paying cash to these workers. When DOL come around says that how much you pay to this worker, you say, oh, I pay $3,500 a month. Do you have a pay stub to show that you paid for $3,500 a month on payroll? You say, no, I pay cash. And the DOL auditor not going to ask you, why are you paying cash? And is it because he has no work authorization? That is not even his area. So that auditor from DOL would not ask you. And they would also not ask you, why are you paying cash? Because that's a silly question. Sometimes people don't have a bank account and they just want cash so they don't have to cash out the check. So that is irrelevant related to whether it's a fair labor paid or not. And from immigration standpoint, even if you're a U.S. citizen, you can still ask your employer to not pay you check, give me cash, I want cash. It is absolutely okay. So with that said, DOL auditor would suspect those are non-documented workers. If you talk more, I actually, if they discover you actually paying rent out of the out of the cash you paid, they discover that you actually have a car for them, you also reduce their pay. So you say you pay them $3,500. At the end, you only pay $3,000 because the $500 was paying for the car, for the house. Then the DOL folks auditor will ask you, why do you pay somebody's rent? Oh yeah, that was my house, and I just let them use it, charge them like that. If they are non-documented worker and you did what you did, you may imagine that's a good deed, but from the point of law, you are harboring illegal immigrant. So that is a criminal charge. So I say this thing not because I dreamed this up and just standing here and making you pee in your pants, but it is actually the law was there. It wasn't created by President Trump. He just activated, not even activated, he just going by the books. Let's put it this way. How about that? So with that said, it is our job here to let you know the significance, so you know to do it right? This is why we're educating. This is why we're here to show you what is the best way to work your business. So audits, I just mentioned about DOL because they are so related to ICE, and we have already seen firsthand how they refer the audit to ICE. So it is, in here it is also says clearly that they can give unauthorized workers information to ICE and potentially trigger more investigation, more raid. The State Department of Labor is also a Department of Labor making sure that you're paying people, the city minimum wage properly. They can also do audit. I have not seen the Department of Labor from the state going to ICE and that was triggered immigration raid. But those are obviously would discover the same thing, would obviously be able to submit that information to ICE. So IRS payroll tax audit, that's Department of Treasury. And when they come to audit your payroll, federal agency, they absolutely share information. And a workers' comp insurance audit, that is a insurance company independent audit. Normally, what you have on the workers' compensation insurance audit are the one that you paid through payroll. So a lot of times it won't be detected anything that you paid under table, or you did not record your payroll process. But that workers' comp is also important because you can trigger a huge lawsuit by not putting them through workers' comp insurance, and then your cash payout worker got injured. You think they just gonna be quiet, not do anything if they are injured at work? You can dream about it. Our small business owners, you are liable for that. If you don't put them in the insurance, you will be liable. You might lose everything you have under your name because of what you have done for workers' injury without putting them on the insurance. Unemployment insurance tax audit is coming from state. Then that is also sometimes you hired someone and you didn't do the paperwork properly. Then you think it is the contractor is not an employee, but the person you hired believe he or she is an employee. So by the time you let them go, they go to unemployment insurance agency and filling up the form as if they are an employee. Then there you go, you're in trouble. I am just saying that as a business owner, the easiest way to live our life is to get everything done to the best of you can. So I want to make that term you can so accurate because you have to learn all the things that we teach here so you know you can do it right. Because if you don't know, you don't know. Some of our business owners are simply not well versed with English. They don't really know English, so they don't understand what is workers' compensation insurance. They have never heard of it. Those are the terms they don't understand. I see them. I see those business owners. That's why our webinar has different languages. We have English, Spanish, Chinese, and we are working on Vietnamese. So we will do our best to give you the language version, but we want you to know these are the audit can trigger you be rated by ICE. Commonality among all of these audits. Remember I talked about commonality on the raid. So what normally would happen? Normally they should have a warrant, remember, signed by the judge. If it is signed by the judge, they can go anywhere in your restaurant. But if it is administrative warrants, not signed by judge, then you have to give authorization to them to raid your non-public space. So you want to really know that. Okay, you literally can go on. You can go Google to search administrative warrant versus the judge signed one to see it. And if you didn't really got the chance to do that, you already got raided. Not a problem. And on site, you can don't let anybody go in to the private space and look at the warrant. Ask them which one is the judge's signature. That's all really you need to know, right? All right. So the commonality among different type of payroll audit, so what are they? How are they in common? So normally they are triggered by complaints and the data mismatch and or random selection or prior violation. So complaints more like whistleblowers or your employee reported you, okay, mistreat them or not paying them right. Data mismatch, your 941 and your money you submit are different. So your 941 says you owe 5,000, but you only paid 1,000. Or your 941 don't add up to your W2, W3. So mismatch, right? Random selection, of course, there are initiatives from different government body, and they want to look at certain areas, certain things. So those are designed selections, and the random selected on you because you fall into that data pool, right? And if you had a violation before, likely to be picked up, that's often the case. And the documentation review, and including the time card, the actual time card. This is commonality in these audits. They ask you for the time card. Then you may say that, oh, we don't use time card anymore. Everything is on the computer. Then you need to have that computer printout. So that is really kind of very common. They come in, they want to see your payroll summary and payroll stub. They want to see W-2, 1099, tax filing. Those are common. And those, the common violations, right? So these are the common things when you get into the payroll audit, and they normally would ask you for these documents. But what are the most often seen common violations for the restaurateurs? Like if you are a restaurant owner, and what are the list of violations often seen in the audit that you should avoid? Classification of exempted or non-exempted employees. So in restaurant, you really should not have so many exempted employees. Means you should not pay people with one lump sum, call it salary. I know some restaurant goes, oh, that's only because we want it to be simple. We actually know how many hours people work. We even calculated overtime hours in that total. So even though we run it like salary, but it's actually hours. Do you know there is a Chinese saying that you don't fix your hat under the peach tree, and you don't fix your shoes walking in watermelon field. What does that mean? Means that if you show up like you're stealing peaches, then you are stealing peaches. If you are bending down looking like picking up watermelons, even though you didn't mean to pick it up, but you can still be perceived to be the thief, right? So, in your payroll processing, if your cook is paid hourly rate, but regularly work 5 hours overtime, what's wrong with you? Just go for the regular 40 hours, calculate the rate, then go for 5 hours overtime, calculated the total, then give that 3,500 the same. So the only labor you saved here is you did not tell your accountant, or you did not set up your payroll in such a way that it would be walking away from these violations. So business owners who owns the restaurant, I urge you to make that right. Do not mix them up. Do not present your paycheck as if you are trading your cook as an exempted employee. The only people can be exempted employee in the restaurant is your managers in the restaurant. That's it. Everybody else go on hourly. Tips payout, improper tip pooling arrangement is also a big deal. Just make sure if you're a restaurant owner, you only gonna have the tip. If you're gonna do tip pooling, it's okay, but only pays to the people who serve the clients. If they don't face clients, and they should not be in the tip pool, and you want to get your tips out every day, and don't try to keep it for anybody else. The restaurants we know, like on our book, our business owners are very good. They close out the tips every day. You know how cash payment is so little, everybody paying credit cards, so the tips are all on the credit card. So our restaurant owner has to run to the bank to get cash out and pay the people because they want to close that out every day. That's a good deed. That's a good thing to do. That's the best thing to do, okay? And also you want to keep your work hour calculation accurate. And time card, you need to keep it. You cannot say that, oh, we don't have time card. Everybody just take 2 hours off. You know what? You as a business owner, you say that, but your employee will not say that. Because they remember clearly, they normally take less than 2 hours. They come in a little early, they leave a little late, and they know they work a little bit more. Or you are a generous boss, you give so much more time, but your employee not happy. They still say that they work too much. So, we're dealing with humans, okay? And you have to allow that to be a norm. We don't need to rely on anyone's honesty. We can rely on machine. So you need to calculate the time. You need time card punchers if that's the best way. Or you make sure your people log in, log out on that POS system to track their time. Failure to pay overtime, that's a big deal. And some of our business owners, they did not fail to pay overtime, but they were picking on the shortcut. They did not identify the overtime on the paycheck. So the employee think they were never paid overtime. No, that was not true. But then in terms of fighting over this, most of the time the business owner lose. Okay? Don't round up your time. When you pay time, every second counts. Don't round up your time for your employee. Either more or less, just don't round up, okay? And, record all the hours worked, including prep time, clean time. If they come to work, they need to spend 10 minutes to put on their hat and to clean their clothes and brush their teeth. That is paid time. You cannot say that those are not the time. So minimum wage violation, you watch that, right? So because the minimum wage changes a lot, and the city, the state, the county, they all have their own rules. So make sure that the restaurant you open up maybe is not where you live. So maybe in this particular restaurant, the location you have, the sales tax is 1% more than where you live, all right? So just be very, very sensitive and making sure that, you know these changes. Of course, I use sales tax as a reason, but your minimum wage is another reason. They have different rules. And deducting uniform, no, you cannot. Deducting the breakage, like your restaurant, your employee broke your artwork worth $10,000. No, you cannot deduct out of employee's payroll. And, you cannot deduct the loss you have, customer walked away and you penalize your worker by not giving them the wages. No, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. Make sure that you leave the wages alone. Misclassification of employee and contractors. Let's say Jose come to work for you. If he's not a company, he's an individual, and he is your employee or your subcontractor, depends on what he does. If in the restaurant, if he's a custodian, if he's a cleaning person, he might be a subcontractor. But in the restaurant, if he's a dishwashing person, and he's not subcontractor, he is your employee. So everyone you hire to make your business run normally is your employee, folks. It's not your subcontractor. Unless you hire businesses, unless it's Walmart, unless it's Target, unless it's the staffing agency, unless it's some corporation. Otherwise, it is your employee, right? All right. So common payroll audit triggers. So we know what we have triggers. Employee complaint is number one, random selection, industry specific. So we mentioned that earlier. And the continued ones, I put on 3. Data discrepancy is actually the biggest one. Media public attention, this is an imaginary one. I didn't really see it, but when I was looking at other documentations, when they talk about audit triggers and someone put that in there, I do not know anything about. I don't have anybody who were audited because their media public output. All right. Documentation requested when the auditor is here for you is the payroll record, timekeeping record, personal file, and the tax benefit record. Those are the records. A lot of them your CPA firm, your payroll processor would have, but the only one you should also have and original is the I-9. Okay, so we're coming back to I-9. So in today's webinar, we are so focused on to do it right? So I want to lead you through these immigration rates and then audit that triggers immigration rates, and that all focused back onto I-9. So I have this, everything is pointed to I-9. It is not enough emphasized in the past, but restaurant owners, it is time for you to take this in and do it right, and it is very important for you. All right, so couple slides on I-9. So the Form I-9, first thing for new employee. It is the first thing for new employee, and the gray bar I have on the website, on the PowerPoint, that is the I-9 top. The form on the top is employment eligibility verification. Remember, there are 3 government bodies are supervising, making sure compliance is done for this form. One is DOL, one is Department of Justice, the other one is Homeland Security. It is very important. A lot of body weights on here, so you want to make sure this is your first thing. So when you hire someone, before, as an employer, you as a business owner, ask each new hire complete I-9 and show you the original documents on or before the first day of working. Got it? So on that form, they need to show you their document, original document, on or before first day of work. So I recommend that you make a copy of what you see, because you can't keep their original, right? You can only just photocopy that. So you just photocopy to keep that in your record, so at least you saw you did it, right? So this is where, the point where the employee need to fill in. So this form, this section 1 by employee, no later than first day of employment. The basic information is name, address, birthday, social security number, email, phone number. Then make you choose of what kind of work authorization you have. So if you're a citizen of the United States, you check box 1. If you are non-citizen national of United States, and you will check number 2. So I actually, right this moment, I don't know what is number 2, but number 3 is the green card holder, and the number 4, an alien authorized to work until a certain day, that is your EAD card. So you actually check box on those ones, right? After, it looks like this, like the whole section looks like this thing. And remember that you see on the right, bottom right, where it says today's date, that today's date need to be the first day of working or before. Very important. All right. Then signature of employee on the left. So employee need to sign. Wet signature, original should stay in your office, in your restaurant. All right. The section 2 is by employer, by you, by the business owner. Within 3 business days, After you hire this new employee, you should have already physically examined the photo ID eligibility document. So, business owner, restaurant owner asked me, oh my God, you make me examine passport? I would have to take special school to really know which passport is which country. I just know my own passport. And you want me to examine the driver license is not even from my state, really. But what here it says that you physically examine, it is physically in your hand. You look for the information, agree with what the employee filled in. But whether these documents, whether these passports are real or not real, I don't think anyone has a way to identify that. And, unless you're specially trained. So, I don't think the bar is that high for the business owner to be the police. And what we are asking here, what this form is asking, is for you to examine the actual ID. All the information are on the form. Section 1 agree with each other, right here, Section 1. You don't want to get a passport for Jose, but this guy is filling up for, somebody else, John, right? Yeah, so that is what that is. So you want to also put in, as an employer, you want to make sure the list of documents is listed and you signed and dated that form right here, the Section 2. So you fill it up, you match the data, and you sign today's date. And that date, that today's date, cannot be more than 3 days of the first day of employment. Is on the top, right here. On the right-hand corner, that first day of employment, and then today's date. All right? I have a little cartoon here for you. The employer must match the document. That lady with glasses, I was trying to make it like me, but such a big-eyed cartoon. It's me looking at this new hire's ID and everything to match it, right? Just to impress you, so you have a little smile on your face, and so you remember. Happiness always helps us to remember, to memorize good memories. So now we talked about Section 1, Section 2. Section 1, your employee doing it. Section 2, you do it. But both need to be signed. The Section 1 date need to be before or on the first day. But Section 2 within 3 days, right? We're good. So penalty for incomplete or no I-9. No I-9. Incomplete I-9. A lot of penalties. So I made a list. Paperwork violation, knowingly employing unauthorized aliens. Aliens are so ugly. I just the aliens we drew, and they just, how could you hire these aliens working? They're so ugly, they're going to get rid of all your customers, right? So, but we know what that means. That means the humans and don't have work authorization, right? They call them aliens. And if the employer, if you knowingly hire or continue to employ this unauthorized worker, penalty goes big. All right? And the E-Verify violations, employer using E-Verify may face additional fine for failing to notify DHS of continuing employment following non-confirmation. So, if your company hires foreign workers, then it is required you go on E-Verify for your new hire. But what if this new hire, after 3 years OPT, no longer has a work permit? Then you need to go back to E-Verify to terminating that. Because if you don't continue to run on them, and then you violated that. Criminal penalty, So that's not fake, that's real. You would end up criminally charged for harboring illegal workers, and this including prison sentence. And if you challenge me by saying, Ying, you don't know, you didn't know, there's nobody go to prison. I dare you that, because there are people in prison still for harboring illegal immigrants. All right. E-Verify employer, this is more for the people, for the business owner that you are doing E-Verify. Even if you did E-Verify because you think that you got everything already verified, I-9 is not required on the work site anymore, you're wrong. Even if you're an E-Verified employer, you still need your I-9 to be at a workplace. You still need to present your I-9 immediately. So if you get rated. So I just want to make sure that you know, and don't take yourself out, because I do, in one of our meetings, one of the business owner, restaurant owner said that, oh, I do E-Verify, I don't have any problem. But at that time, I did not say to him that, no, you still do, you need to have your I-9, original I-9 in the workplace, just in case when the immigration raid happens to you, right? And the immigration raid is really a mean for compliance, but imagine if they come in, everything was super good, you got everything in place, there's no problem. Man, wouldn't that be cool? That would be nice. That would be like wasting taxpayers' money for running out for nothing. But let's just try to get there, okay? To get there so we have everything, all the ducks in the row, and we prepare ourselves. So desire to know more, folks, you can make appointment with our partner online. These are the partners at our firm. We are here to guide you. And when you in trouble, I want you to remember Community CPA. We are here. We understand regulations, rules. We have attorneys, and we understand the business world. And we're here to speak for you, and we understand you. We understand small businesses. All right. The last slide is about our firm, right? Go subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear all of my ramblings, and also they all got translated into other language too, so you can learn what I am thinking every day. I do 3 times a week, so I'm literally thinking about webinar as part of my lifestyle. I just hear things and read things, watch things, and then come up with what's important for right now. So the priority is never the same, but right now it is more on the payroll audit. So what I want to tell you is that if you have your payroll done at certain places for a long time, and all of these things I talk about today scares you because you felt like you have areas that need improvement, and come to our firm to conduct a payroll compliance review. And we offer payroll compliance review for businesses, small, medium, large. We want to make sure that you are solid if you ever get into audit or rates situation. All right, so email Catherine at communitycpa.com. Let us know what you're thinking, and make sure you're give me a thumb up if you like my webinar, and always tell me what I do, which part of things I do, and you like it, so I can make that better. And call our office. We open 6 days a week. Yes, whole year round. And we open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. So you can always call between 8:30, 5:30. We're here. All right. Now I give the rest of the weekend to you. Make sure you enjoy. And why not, right? Life is short, and make sure you enjoy. But at the same time, run your business really well, and know that you will get over this. You will be okay. And we'll grow together, right?